Hi, and welcome to another video from the CTAD Clinic. My name's Dr. Mike Lloyd and I'm the Clinic Director. And today we're going to be discussing an issue that many people in clinic describe as being very, very difficult for them, and that is the approach of winter. While this is mainly for people in the Northern Hemisphere, the same would apply for folks in the Southern Hemisphere, just at a different time of year. This isn't about being anxious about winter coming, the long dark winter nights, because that's much more an honest to goodness realistic response for many people. Lots of people don't like it when it gets really dark, it gets really cold, the nights get really long. Some people, they have seasonal affective disorder, which means that actually the long nights bring about a form of depression for people that lasts for months and can be really, really awful. We're talking more about a fear response. So it's about being anxious, it's about having dread, it's about really, really seeing that there is a threat in the winter approaching, and people get very, very scared. And this can have many, many effects on people. It can increase the amount of dissociation that people experience, for example, so that they have more dissociative events, or the dissociation feels it's much more intense and much more difficult for people to be able to contend with. And this is largely because the threat response system in the brain is activated. So if we're thinking about people getting upset or frightened about this towards the end of summer, into autumn, and as winter comes in, that there's months where people are building this sense that something terrible is going to happen. So the threat system, which is usually hyper alert anyway in people with complex trauma and dissociation, is highly activated. So the brain is geared up and ready for there being something terrible to happen. So therefore that threat system is very high a lot of the time. This can then activate many more parts. So in OSDD and DID, other specified dissociative disorders, and dissociative identity disorder, for example, internal parts, others, alters, can be activated more often, and their threat systems are then being played out in their behaviors. So our action system for threat is being triggered more and more and more as winter approaches and as the nights get darker. So if in the summer there's a short amount of darkness, a short amount of activation, let's say, and in the winter months there's simply many more hours of darkness, which is increased time for people to become scared, frightened, and activated within those dissociative systems. The answer to a lot of this is really difficult. So many people with complex trauma and dissociation backgrounds have had very, very difficult childhoods. This can be a lot of hurt, a lot of suffering, a lot of pain being endured throughout childhood for many, many people. And what that means is that a lot of that takes place at night. That's simply the time when a lot of trauma exists in families where there is a lot of things going on which are really, really not good. So what this can mean is that the more nighttime exists, the more trauma memories are being triggered, the brain feels more and more threatened, and this becomes an increased level of dissociation for people to have to deal with, and it's a cumulative effect. It compounds the fear, the anxiety, the dread of the apprehension, activates the threat system well in advance of the longer nights, and when the longer nights arrive, then the person is then experiencing a lot more traumatic memory, which causes them to dissociate further, which compounds the fear and anxiety about each and every day and each and every night. One of the key messages then that has to be getting across to be able to manage this is the safety system, right? It's that safety message that has to be described to people on the inside as much as possible. So it's a self-talk strategy. I know that winter is approaching. I know that this is going to feel bad, but the stuff that I went through in childhood is no longer happening now. That's always going to be the key response. And I know I come back to this time and time again because it's really, really important that it gets done. It's to reassure the self that the past and the present are two different things, assuming that everything is safer in the present, obviously, to be able to make it really, really clear that the present, night times in the present, do not mean that anything bad is going to happen. Check that the doors are locked, make sure everything is okay, go to bed, and be clear about that message that the night times are safer. Do a lot more time offering comfort, offering reassurance. Maybe spend more time doing games. Try and make the evenings enjoyable. So instead of it being something really scary and something dreaded and sort of like hiding and avoiding going to bed, is to try and make the evenings enjoyable. Think about games, think about having lights on, think about things that can be done with internal parts that mean that they are happier so that as evening approaches, they are given new things to be able to do, new things to be able to play with, more time, so that it becomes something that at the very, very least, it can be looked forward to rather than seen with this absolute level of dread that many people experience. Realistically, all it's about is knowing why, as with all of these things, is understanding the reason why the dissociative system might be more activated at a particular time of year than others is important. And to be able to do that means in advance of it, you can prepare for it, you can put things in that you can look forward to at this time of year. You can spend more time with parts, being able to encourage them, being able to activate games and play and enjoyment, lots of safety messages, lots of reassurance, lots of offering comfort. Be understanding, don't be critical. So if parts are more activated, try not to get angry or cross at them. Try to be understanding, thoughtful, and help them through. And in the morning, when everything is okay, you've woken up and nothing bad has happened, lots of well done me type messages. It's funny how people just don't do that often. When they have complex trauma histories and they do something well, they tend not to say well done me. And I think it's really important that that's something that gets learned to do. So when there has been a half decent night's sleep and nothing bad has happened and everything is exactly the same as it was when you went to bed, say well done, that was a good night, we did really well. Tomorrow is going to be exactly the same, the day after is going to be exactly the same, we have got this, we're going to be okay. That's one of the key things to get through winter. It's really simple, but often not done, because the threat activation system is all about the emotional response and this is about much more of a thoughtful, considered response. Please try to remember to do that if you find that evenings and night times are more difficult at this time of year. So I hope this video has been helpful. There's some more information that I'm going to be putting on about this. I think it's a good time of year to put this out. So I'll do another video very similar, looking at some other things about the time of year as to why that can be difficult. As always, please like and subscribe to the videos and leave any comments below. We always like hearing them, and we'll continue putting messages and videos out as we go along. So between now and the next time, please do take great care.